Greetings adventurers and welcome to ADV in Japan. So today I'm going to be talking about the gear that I pack when I go on 2 to 3 day trips. I've got a trip coming up here, so I figured I would go ahead and show you guys kind of what I pack and how I pack it on my bike. Now today I'm going to be doing a voiceover because unfortunately the audio for this original video wasn't captured because I just didn't put the settings right in the GoPro. So I've got, as you guys have seen in my previous videos, I've got the Enduristan Panniers, I've got 2 US 10 Kriega bags that I use, and then a US 30 that I put on the back of the bike. And then of course, in addition to that, I have my tank bag also from Enduristan, and that is the 4H. So all of this should fit in these bags, shouldn't have any issues. I've got everything kind of split up in different categories. I've got the sleeping area, I've got kind of my living stuff, and then of course the clothes that I pack, and then my camera gear as well too over there on the right. All right guys, so let's go ahead and get straight into it with my sleeping gear. So for my tent, I use a Montbell Moonlight tent. This is designed for 1 person, but you can get 2 people in there. My wife and I have slept in there. It comes with the poles, and then of course I've got my dry sheet for down below to prevent it. Although the tent is quite highly waterproof ready, so it's not super necessary. And then for my sleeping pad, I have the absolutely luxurious, lovely Klymit Static V-lux. I have a bad back, you guys. I have tried so many different pads, and this is the best one that I've had so far. Super recommended if you've got a bad back or you're just a poor sleeper when it comes to camping. Okay, next is the Montbell sleeping bag. This is kind of my winter bag, so it's rated for pretty cold weather. You guys can see the statistics for some of these things in the video up in the right-hand corner there. It's super lightweight, it's crushed down, and it is a down sleeping bag. So this gets me done for pretty much all my sleeping needs. Oh, sorry, I did forget. I do have an inner pad for the tent itself. It's designed specifically for the Moonlight Tent 1, and it goes right in there really nicely. But it just provides a little bit of extra padding. Okay, so moving on to some of the stuff that I use for kind of, everyday use, cooking and whatnot, sitting down. All right, so let's get into it. So the first thing is my cooking gear here. This is a really cheap set. It's Captain Stag, which is kind of like the Walmart version of camping gear here. It's really cheap, but it gets the job done for sure. I know a couple people that have this set. It just is really, really solid. So I got a set of chopsticks, I got a spoon, and then inside I have a much nicer burner from SnowPeak. Again, you can see all this stuff in a previous video that I put out. I'll just keep putting that link up here in the right-hand corner. And then I also carry some power gas with me too as well. It works well in cold weather and in hot weather as well too. Next is my Helinox seat. I've been using this thing forever. I think probably at least 5-6 years I've been using this same Helinox seat. It's just absolutely perfect, lightweight and compact. All right, so next is my field hopper, or kind of my field table. This is a legendary table here in Japan. Pretty much every hiker that knows what they're talking about has one of these. Super lightweight, just kind of crushes down, folds. I always keep a set of wipes with me too as well. Just helps keep things clean, so it's always nice to have that with you. Next is my headlights. It's really important to have, especially if you come into the campsite at night and you got to set up at night. It comes really super handy. Also helpful if you have to do work on the bike at night too as well. This one is not battery powered, which is also important. I definitely recommend you guys getting something that you can charge. And this is my tent light slash kind of living light. So, kind of in the evening time when I'm cooking, I'll use this thing outside, just kind of let it sit on the outside of the tent, hang it down there. It's got a little battery pack in there. This runs off of batteries. And then at night, right when I get ready to go to bed, I'll just throw it in the tent and hang it up in there. It comes with kind of this reflective sleeve that improves the brightness. So really cool. That's from Montbell as well. All right, the next thing is kind of my wood burning stove. I primarily use this for wood burning just to keep myself warm. It's one of those bookshelf stoves, so you can literally just collapse it down into this little thin, teeny tiny sleeve. It's great. It works really, really well, and you can use it to cook as well. And then I've got a waterproof bag that holds the wood for that wood stove, and this is probably enough for about 2 nights, I would say. The stove is pretty economical. It doesn't burn too fast because it doesn't get super hot in there. So that should last, I would say, probably about 2 days. Should be good to go. And then finally, I forgot, but this goes with the stove. It's just a wind shield. It kind of blocks the wind from blowing the flame out on my burner. So again, something really nice to have. It's super compact, aluminum, lightweight, and it just kind of slips inside the bag real nice. Doesn't take a whole lot of room up. So this is basically, you know, these are my basic needs that I use when I'm ready to sit down and relax at my campsite. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the clothes, kind of the stuff I wear, the clothes that I pack and whatnot. So starting with my Kriega water pack, this is really nice. So it holds quite a bit of water, I believe around 3 liters. So I typically fill that up, and that will last me for 2 nights easily, both drinking during the day and then of course using for cooking at the campsite too as well. So just an easy, economical way to carry water when you're camping. Definitely recommend picking up a Hydro pack. Okay, so getting into my clothing here. So I've got stuff for my head, just to keep my head extra warm. And I typically bring 1 or 2 pairs of gloves, sometimes 3 depending on the time of the year. So you've got your thin gloves, you've got your winter gloves, and then I've got my everyday Thor gloves that I use. And sometimes I'll pair them up, you know, use those thin liner gloves and put them inside the Thor gloves or the winter gloves, depending on what time of the year it is. Okay, so this is my bag that I use kind of for shopping. If I get off the bike, I can get access to my wallet and everything else that I need quick access to. It can be strapped onto my leg, or I can use it as a shoulder bag as well too. So these are the clothes that I will be using for this 3-day trip. And the idea here is basically I don't have any pants. The only pants I'm going to use are my riding pants right here, the Thor MX pants. These are great. It's typically the way I do it. And then underneath, basically what you see, everything here is what I put underneath those pants and then underneath my riding jacket. And so what you see up top here is basically my underwear, which includes kind of padded underwear and just normal underwear as well too. And then to the left there, I've got my shirts packed in there. Yeah, so long sleeve, both short sleeve as well. And everything is kind of wicker, sweat wicking material. It's designed to be worn underneath like a jacket or some type of outer shell layer. And then down below there you can see the smaller bag. I've got some shoes, just some Crocs that I can wear at the campsite. So very important to have, you guys. You need to be able to dry your boots out every single night. So don't just assume you can wear your riding boots the entire time. So these are the clothes that I wear underneath basically my main gear here. So you can see this is my Klymit jacket. Very, very sturdy. It's designed for 3 seasons, quote unquote. It's barely doable for 3 seasons. In April, it gets a little too hot. In May, by the time it gets to May, you're pretty much just sweating bullets. And when that happens, I will go ahead and just switch over to my chest protector with some kind of, you know, motocross shirt or something like that. So the 2 of these will get me across 4 seasons, no problem. And I typically do bring this guy with me just in case. You know, if I do some heavy duty off-roading, I'm definitely not going to be wanting to wear that heavy duty Klymit jacket. So just to be clear, I have not included my boots in this review, and that's because I'm going to be doing a more detailed review on the boots that I use in a later video. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to kind of the maintenance gear that I bring, including all the electronics that I have too as well. So starting first here, I've got a tire repair kit here. I have tubeless tires, so basically it just includes a couple plugs in there, and then of course the kind of injection tool. I cut out the instructions there and just kind of threw them inside in there just in case. It is a pretty simple process, but you never know, you know, just in case. So next, you know, you got just your air pump. This is a bicycle air pump. And then I've got the air pressure checker. It's important that you buy that extra little tube, that long tube. Really helps making everything easy, and it really attaches onto the tire valve much better if you have that. So definitely must have. You guys can get a compressor if you want. I just figured, you know, if a compressor fails, then I'm kind of shit out of luck. So I wanted to go kind of the manual route. I know it takes forever to pump the tire up with going manual. All right, next is my charging gear. So this is just a normal battery, which will help charge my GoPro, and then it's the 360 batteries. Yeah, shouldn't be any issue there. I charge my phone on my bike, so that should do the job for about 2 days worth. And then next year, I've got another pack here that's used for maintenance gear, to store maintenance gear, and also my first aid kit as well too. Now on the right here, you guys can see I've got some cables here to jumpstart the bike, so if my battery does die, I do have a way to jumpstart it. This is the battery here. It can be used to charge pretty much anything, cell phones, anything that has a USB cable, it will charge. So just an extra battery, nice to have. And then of course I got my first aid kit as well. It's a very light kit. It just includes just you know, band-aids. It's got some aspirin in there, some tape, some medical tape, things like that. I believe there's a bee sting remover too. So not a whole lot of stuff in here, just enough to kind of get me by. Anything more than that, then I'd probably be calling the hospital. So. And then inside, just in case, I do have some 3M GoPro tape for the GoPro mounts. And those are really good to have, as I have had my GoPro mounts break off during riding. So definitely keep some extra of those. Okay, next I have some waterproof bags that I will be utilizing here later. I stick a lot of stuff inside of here. It just makes it easier. You know, say for example, if it's raining, you can just pull everything out at once. And it just keeps everything nice and dry and waterproof as you're transporting it from the bike to the tent. But also, again, it just gets things out of the bike fast, quick, and easy and simple. I've also got a deerskin cloth there that helps to dry out the bike from condensation, as well as the tent in the morning. Super helpful. All right, so let's go ahead and get on to my tool roll here. So this is a Rhino Walk. I bought it from AliExpress. I wouldn't call it waterproof, but definitely it will protect the tools from rain, though I would be careful of condensation buildup for sure. I do recommend you guys to carry more than what is included in the stock OEM kit, just because, especially if you're going to be out for more than 1 day, you want to be able to do the kind of maintenance required to get yourself from point A to point B, and most importantly, to get yourself back home too as well. This is a great little tool roll. It's got everything I need inside of it. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what I got inside here. So you can kind of see it is somewhat waterproof. It's got these flaps here that keep things kind of out of the water. But definitely, if you go through some mud, you're going to want to open this thing up when you get to the campsite, let it dry out, maybe use that deer skin to kind of wipe stuff down, because this will accrue rust, no doubt. So you can see, I'm not going to go through everything here, but basically what I have here are the necessary tools to get the majority of just simple maintenance, you know, working on my chain, adjusting the chain and whatnot, things like that. Then in this side pocket, I got a couple extra things that I carry. You can see I've got some zip ties of different sizes that I have. Super important if cords kind of get loose and whatnot. I've got extra batteries in there for my microphone, some electrical tape. I've got this really nice strap here. This strap can help you lift the front end of the bike up, or the back end if you need to do some tire repairs, or you need to lift the actual bike up. You can strap that against a tree and yeah, just use the tree to push the bike up. I've got a duct tape, just a little thing of duct tape here. It always comes in handy. So, you know, just basically the bare necessities that, you know, will get me from point A to point B. If something, you know, comes loose, I can strap it down, I can zip tie it, you know, kind of get through the ride. Okay, next we'll go ahead and get on to my camera gear. All right, so this is the first item for my camera kit stuff. This is a tripod stand. It's not super light. I think it would probably be lighter than some of the more professional stands. Definitely recommend picking something like this up. I use it quite a bit out in the field when I want to film myself kind of driving by. It's great. This extends out to about 160 centimeters, which is kind of the industry standard for the height that you want. In any case, it's really helpful to have this. Filming at the campsite too as well. It can be super helpful. Also, this has really long legs, which prevents the stand from falling over in the wind. In addition to that, I have a small iPhone holder that I can use. I don't have a super duper expensive kind of camera that I use, you know, for shooting at the campsite. On top there, I just glued a, you know, just a little bubble level just to make sure that the phone is level on top when I'm using it. So yeah. Alright, so let's take a look at my Leica's case. So inside here I store all of my camera gear. That includes my GoPro, which I'm using right now, and the Insta360 too as well. So this case, really highly recommend it. It's got that kind of customizable foam where it comes in little blocks, and you can kind of cut things out and make your own little custom case. So you can see I've got my batteries right there for the GoPro, the Insta360. I've got basically charging cords right there, you can see. Then I've got my ND filters for the GoPro. Definitely recommend you guys getting a set of ND filters, as the GoPro does not really control light very well. And then I've got some more mounts for the GoPro itself, and then of course the infamous GoPro screws. This is an extra helmet mount that I can use if my current one breaks. I've got a couple other mounts that allow me to kind of switch over from a screw mount to the just the normal GoPro mounts. And this is multi-layered, so underneath I've got my motorcycle kind of exhaust mic, and then I've got my massive dead cat for that. And then I've got just a plug-in charger right there, so if I stay at a hotel I can quickly charge everything. I believe that's a 40 watt. And then for the Insta360, I've got two different kind of selfie sticks here. One of them is designed for on-road, and the other one is a little bit shorter, and it's designed for off-road to reduce kind of the wobbling. So it's nice to have both though. I'll typically keep them both on my bike just ready to go, so that way if I want to change an angle real quick, I don't have to pull them out of the back. I'll just leave them on the bike and then throw the Insta360 on whichever one of these that I want to use, depending on which kind of angle that I want or want to capture. So that gets the job done. I do have an extra layer underneath there, which if I do get the DJI Mini Pro 3, I'll probably throw it underneath there at the very bottom. So it should get the job done. This is a great case, you guys. It is waterproof, 100% waterproof. I've had it sitting in rain for days, and yeah, it's held its own. I didn't have any condensation in there either as well too, so really highly recommend this case if you haven't seen them already. I'm pretty sure they do sell abroad. I know for a fact they do sell in Japan. These guys actually make cases specifically for the DJI drones too as well. Super legit. Oh, and I did forget, I actually do also store my SD cards here. You can see this. It's a nice little case to have. I've got a couple SD cards in there, both for the GoPro and the Insta360. All right, so I've got 74 liters of storage. I gotta fit all this stuff in there. Let's get her done. All right, you guys, I'm gonna leave this in fast forward to save you all some time, and I'll just explain to you kind of the theory behind how I pack. So there are two principles that apply when you really need to think about constantly when you're packing. The first is make sure that your heavy gear goes down at the lowest part of the bike. And this is for obvious reasons. You're gonna reduce the top heaviness of the bike. By putting that stuff way down low, it's just gonna improve the balance of the bike. It's just gonna make things a lot easier when you're out on the trail and you're trying to keep that bike from falling over. So again, keep that stuff down low as possible. The next principle is to pack in the order with which you want to pull things out when you get to the actual campsite. And this is super important because you're going to be exhausted after a long day of riding. And the last thing you want to be doing is pulling things out of the bike first that you don't need at the campsite in order to get to the things that you actually do need at the campsite. It's just an extra step, just kind of a pain in the butt. So pack things in an order that you know that you're going to need them. So for example, you're not going to need your clothes until the very last thing. So these things can be shoved way down deep in the top rack bag. But your tent, the ground sheet, the tent poles, these things should probably be sitting at the forefront of whatever bag you put them into because they're going to be the first things you're going to be pulling off that bike and using. Other than that, it's pretty much up to you how you guys want to pack, but those are the two principles I abide by when packing my motorcycle. Alright, so for my camera gear box here, you can see I've got 3 screws sticking out from the rear rack here. And everything is screwed from the inside, and that just kind of gives you a peace of mind as far as security goes. Although it's not such a big deal here in Japan. Japan is pretty safe. I've got these wing nuts, so I don't need to remove the actual box itself using any tools. So again, just makes everything nice and streamlined. Although I've never taken this thing off my bike. So I've actually never taken this off of my bike, but it's just nice to know that I can if I have to. I have 2 small combination locks that I use when I go to sleep. I'll just lock it up, or if I get off my bike and I'm going to go into a store for a prolonged period of time, then I'll use those 2 locks to just keep everything nice and secure. And last but not least, I've got my ground sheets and the tent poles to go on the exterior here. So the tent poles slip in between my US Kriega 10 and the US 30. So the ground sheet sits on top. I will go ahead and put this on later, but basically you can see I've got 2 straps on it there, and these will strap down into the Kriega. I'll make sure that everything kind of sits nice and snug on there. But for now, we'll go ahead and just leave it off. So the last thing that I forgot to mention here are my ram mounts. So I also have several ram mounts, 4 different positions, kind of ready to go for my GoPro and the Insta360. I've got one on the handlebars there. I've got one back here that I can use for the selfie stick, or I can, I can also use this to record the audio of the bike, the exhaust. And then I've got one last mount here down by the passenger peg that I can use too as well. All right, folks, that is it. So if you found this video helpful, definitely like and subscribe. It really helps push my video up in the ranker. And of course, by doing so, more people have access to see these videos and get help from both me and of course from you in the comments. So if you found anything kind of weird, or you have any recommendations for luggage or the way that I pack, definitely leave some comments down there. It helps me out, but more importantly, it helps out other people that watch these videos and comment as well too. All right, you guys, so until next time, this is ADV in Japan, out.